Yo, what's going on? My name's Ram Man, call me Ramsey, and what I want to talk about is being able to put yourself in a situation where you're not necessarily um, compromised with balance. So when you push things to extremes, I find you discover a lot, and this is not an uncommon belief. When you push things far, you discover things that most people don't discover. Whatever the area is, if you push things in a direction with a focus far, then you learn about reality, in my experience, in a way that those who constantly seek practicality and balance do not. That being said, you also risk yourself of things getting topsy-turvy. You also risk yourself of your life falling apart and your situation falling apart because you're putting yourself in a situation where you're only paying attention to one thing. And when you only pay attention to one thing, then you're ignoring other things. You're creating voids, and you're only operating in the light to this thing that you've extremely concentrated on, or that you've extremely dedicated yourself to. But what happens is the price to pay for that, even though there's tremendous insight to be gained, even though there's tremendous benefit, the price to pay for that is just less of a obvious coasting. There's less of a, like, it's a little less obvious what's going to come for you tomorrow, how things are going to turn out for you in a year. You know, after you've expended, say you've put all your energy into this one thing, and then you put your resources into it, you put your energy, you put your time into it, all of a sudden you're depleted of that. And when you're depleted of that, you know, you're basically in a situation where you have to shift your lifestyle, and you have to shift your focus, and you have to shift what you're paying attention to in a dramatic way, as opposed to a more easygoing way. There's just more topsy-turviness. There's more unpredictability, and with that, you know, that could be problematic for some if they want to have stability as they pursue something. There's probably, and I'm just extrapolating because this is something I'm feeling out, but there's probably a balance between, there's probably a way in which you can pursue an extreme focus while having the appropriate balance with the rest of your life. But my guess is it either requires support or extreme success. And so, like, you take like Elon Musk, you know, he can pursue things extremely and he can support himself. I don't know, you know, it's very possible he's leaving certain voids in the meantime. But then you take somebody like you know, the archetype of like the struggling artist. It's like the struggling artist is kind of in a situation where they're pursuing something to an extreme, but in that process they're letting go of everything else. They're letting go of their ability to focus their ability to take care of themselves, and their ability to reach the greatest heights possible on a multifaceted level. So it's like one thing to create great art, and then it's another thing to create great art and then exhibit it, and then be able to try new kinds of art because you have the overhead to afford new materials, things like that. And so my point is that it's just a balance, or it's just deciding or figuring out how to either create balance while you pursue an extreme of, say, mastery or artistry, right? Because or, you know, if you're an Einstein, you know, it could be like a science or something like that, where it's like Einstein is pursuing a scientific, you know, he was pursuing an extreme of scientific stuff, and he was willing to, my understanding is, he was willing to have low-end jobs until things rose for him, so he could pursue the stuff he cared about. And, you know, similarly, there's artists like that, but my guess is that there's a way to pursue the extreme and create balance if you create necessary success for yourself that supports that. It's always important, I think, to pay attention to voids. So it's like, yeah, you might have extreme success and you might be able to support your focus of, but, and this is for people who obviously do this, who do focus on this kind of stuff, who aren't naturally pursuing balance and practicality. But my point is that even if you are able to support yourself while you pursue greater heights, you don't know where you could be leaving a void. You don't know for yourself and for others. So it's like one of those things where, you know, say you're doing all this stuff, you're taking care, you're pursuing your art, you're pursuing your science, you're pursuing your focus, and you're supporting yourself, and you're doing all this stuff. Well, how are you doing emotionally? How are you doing in terms of just processing the meaning of your life? Can that cause a kind of like existential crisis at a certain point for you? You know, that's one way. Another way is like, say your intense focus isn't necessarily art or science or whatever, but it's like spirituality, right? Like, and you're meditating and you're going to retreats and you're pursuing all this stuff. But then as you're getting supported because you're part of these communities that support you and all this kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden, as you're doing that, you have a different kind of crisis where you're just realizing you didn't get to experience the world. You didn't get to experience the material side of life. You didn't get to see what you could do with yourself financially, and maybe that means you can't support your family in the way you wanted to once you have a family, and because you didn't pay attention to finances. So there's tons of voids you could be leaving, even if you pursue those greater heights while building some kind of success that supports your ability to do that, whether it's because you're connected to others who are supporting that, or whatever it may be. Maybe you can't take care of your physical health. The point is that there's just a lot of ways that things can get out of balance when you pursue something to an extreme. And I wonder, my interest is, at least at this point in my life, the art and the practice and the quote science of being able to pursue the things that I care about personally, while balancing out whatever voids I might potentially be leaving, you know, so while feeling out how to fill those out, and then also building the appropriate success so that I can pursue that focus and also pursue build the support system that I need to pursue that, while also filling out the voids that I might be missing. And the question to ask yourself is, can you do the same thing? So anyway, I appreciate your time. Have a good day, have a good night whenever you're watching this, and keep at it. Keep exploring, keep searching, and, you know, move towards what you're afraid of so that you can potentially live out a more fulfilling life. Just random end there. Appreciate it. Thanks.